What's poppin', y'all? Well, some really very shocking news for some, and for others, probably they wouldn't even believe it. But an OG YouTuber has passed away, and that is none other than Connor Murphy, and he passed away in Thailand. So a little bit of a briefer on this guy. This guy, if you're talking about like Omegle streams or Omegle type YouTube videos, this guy was that. Prank era of YouTube, he was that. Fitness era of YouTube, he like merged all of those together. So he would like just take his shirt off. He would have people react to it. He would do the same thing on Omegle. So a lot of content came out of him. He was one of the most famous people in fitness content at all. If you're a little bit older, you definitely remember him, and you've probably seen him just in general. But what would happen is he would slowly lose his mind. And unfortunately, he actually did pass away just last night. And the reason it's obvious that he had lost his mind, and proof of that, is his business partner.
Was normal after that. He never came back the same after that. And I remember that Brandon Carter used to work with him. Brandon Carter did all of his marketing. And he couldn't work with him anymore because he just went crazy, dude. He went crazy. You know, he had like a mental breakdown and he went like crazy for a while. I was like thinking to myself, like, bro, is this a joke? This got to be a joke. Yeah, that's what made him crazy, guys, was the ayahuasca. Yeah.
So this is Myron talking about this guy named Brandon Carter. Now, Brandon Carter is like a super OG of fitness on YouTube. I think he's still doing his thing. But he would run a lot of marketing for these like fitness influencers, like the generation after him, because he kind of pioneered the whole business fitness space in general. Like this guy was doing it 20 years ago, if I recall correctly. And even before that, I think he was training people. So if you can't even do business with the guy anymore, and the guy's not interested in making money or running his business, then yeah, you know it's cooked, it's clipped, it's done with. And the reason why they have a relationship is because I believe like Myron, he used to run a fitness business called Unplugged Fitness, and he had learned how to run that business from Brandon Carter, and then they've kept like a relationship ever since. So that's how he knows him, and that's why the information from Myron here is reliable. And the story is here because it was hard to believe because he's done a lot of stunts. But the story is here, and it says American man goes on rampage painting luxury rental home worth 22 million baht, which is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's like a little bit under $1 million. Then runs into Village Lake and dies. So this is exactly where he lived because it says his name right here, Connor Michael Murphy, 32, only 32 years old. And this guy was peak like to over 10 years ago. I think he was a college student when he got like that big, and American, about 20 meters. So what happens is they said that there was this guy that was trying to get like a tuk-tuk or something. He was offering the guy, or taxi for people that don't know what that is. It's like a little rickshaw thing that drives people. And they have video footage. I'm not sure if we'll ever get that, but it says reviewing video footage recorded by someone else. A village staff member showed the foreign man suddenly exhibiting erratic behavior without known cause. He ran and swam in the village lake until he became exhausted and submerged before witnesses' eyes. No one dared to enter the water. I mean, it's smart that they didn't enter the water. They probably would have just drowned with him. Like, this guy was actually huge. He was like, what, 6'3"? He was on more gear now than I think he was back then. So this is a 6'3", 200-plus pound guy that's drowning. Yeah, if you go in there, you're going to die. And then divers searched for about 30 minutes before finding him. So they said that he went out, and then he came back, and then the driver didn't even want to drive him because of his behavior. So the driver was getting paid probably well over a day's rate by him to take him. And he's like, nah, I don't want your money. So that just goes to show how he was tripping out. And then I guess the police were coming and he jumped out. So these are a couple of images of what his home looked like. And this thing was chaotic. It was insane. He was just throwing paint everywhere. You could see like on the bottom left, there's a hand and some like looks like some really hippie spiritual symbol. And his girlfriend was saying that, oh yeah, she had never seen him do drugs, but there were 2 unused syringes. Now, a couple of hours before, he would be out right in that same lake. So he was messing around in this lake, and he was recently going viral again earlier this year. You've probably seen this face before. He was going viral with Androgenic and them. He was linking up with those guys, or that guy in particular. The previous incident that happened was one that happened between him and his girlfriend. So what you're seeing right now in the background is footage of his villa, and this was in Pattaya. So he moved from Pattaya to Bangkok. The most recent place he's been at is Bangkok. He's living on a golf course that's right by the water. Before, this is May of 2024, he was in Pattaya. And he was living with his girlfriend, and he went on a rampage with a golf club, just smashing windows. Like you see here, there's a terror inside this home. Smashing everything, and then he got stabbed by that girlfriend, and then he got a scar from the stabbing. And people were saying like, nah, like he just had like a mental break, because he was living with this other guy who is, it depends what you want to call sane, but this guy by the name of Tony Huge. So a little bit of a briefer on Tony Huge. Tony Huge is from like fitness YouTube, and his whole thing is you shouldn't be natural. Like you should be injecting, you should be biohacking, doing whatever. But he is most famously known for being the first famous fitness YouTuber who's gotten banned a bunch of times to outwardly be cracking ladyboys. Yeah, he was like, yeah, ladyboys are more women than American women. That is the quote from him. I don't know if that video or that channel is still up, but that's what I remember him by. And he said that. So he would come out and explain what happened with Connor Murphy, because this isn't the first person to die, I wouldn't say under Tony Huge's watch, but in close proximity to Tony Huge. And Tony Huge also has like a huge supplement company. He's a really, really, really rich guy. So he would explain Connor Murphy's most recent genius idea.
And he did his research, and he had the hypothesis that gold, if you can get it into every cell in your body, would have some special power of like conductivity of the electro pulses that go through the body, and also connect you to the metaphysical world. So Connor went to the gold shop, and he bought gold bars, and he bought gold necklaces, and he bought gold bracelets, bought a lot of different gold things, and he put it in water with 2 electrodes going through it in some intricate system with the amount of electricity and the frequency, and everything was very calculated. He had a whole protocol. I don't know the very detailed specifics of the protocol, because I was not interested in injecting gold in myself, but I was interested to see, like, if it works for him, maybe someday I would consider it. But okay, that's an experiment. That's a level 10. Maybe I'm just a level 9 biohacker, and Connor was a level 10 biohacker, but that was just beyond the scope of what I was willing to experiment with.
So yes, he wanted to inject gold. Now, I think the problem with Tony Huge is he's you can be a little bit too open-minded. So I think he's like a guy that isn't going to say like, man, that's a dumb idea. What the hell is wrong with you? He's not going to do that. He'll be like, oh, wow, that's possible. Because to be fair to the bodybuilding community, they were ahead of the game on a lot of different things. Through self-experimentation, a lot of people had to die for it to happen, but they were ahead of the game nonetheless. But Tony Huge would explain that he tried to confront him like, yo, are you sure about this?
He would say that he's actually developing superhuman abilities, and then he would do something to prove it. And he was actually developing superhuman abilities. And first of all, wow, let me make this really clear. I am not advocating. If anything, I'm warning people, do not put gold into your body without, I don't even know. This is the problem, is we were telling him that we think this is pretty dangerous, but at the same time, he's proving that it's working up until a certain point. I guess it's just like with anything with chemistry, like a small dosage of something can be a very powerful tool, and a very high dosage can be very dangerous. But what I noticed with Connor was Sometimes he would be, it's hard to know when he's acting or when he's not acting. That's another thing, is because when we would tell Connor, oh, he's acting crazy, he'd be like, yeah, I know, I'm acting. I'm an actor. It's acting. And he would, make us feel stupid. We're naysayers. We're negative. We're going to try to bring him down or something. And that's not it. We want to support him. And he has huge potential. I mean, I know it seems like Connor had quite a roller coaster during his life, but I think that he was on the brink of discovering some very big things.
But where this gets odd is when Tony Huge kind of supports what Connor Murphy was doing with the gold, which is insanity.
I think the only mistake was probably the gold. And I think that when he used a small amount of gold, I think he did develop some powers. And then when the gold dosage went up, I think something started misfiring in his brain. He was doing running sprint tests and timing himself and to prove his abilities. And he had just started this, right? So I'm not saying that he was running faster than a world record holder or anything like that. But he was just starting to test his abilities with climbing and jumping and lifting and sprinting. And he was just basically any time I was spending with him, it was like something that he would show, some additional ability that he gained from it. So I think there's something to it. I think it would be nice if scientists explored it, but I don't think they will, because who's going to profit off of gold? You can buy gold anywhere. He was buying it at the local gold shops.
So he's talking about like, I thought he was going insane, but he would say that he would demonstrate that he got powers and he had developed this new golf swing. And to a guy like Tony Huge, has he played golf? I feel like we would need a golfer. What magnificent miracles has Connor Murphy showed him that would lead him to believe that he got these powers? But this guy has lost his mind. I would say he really lost his mind. It was when he lost his hair, I think. And then also when he did psychedelics. This guy never recovered after doing psychedelics. And the psychedelics came at a similar time to when he was losing his hair and I think like not getting the same views as he once got. But he would go and do stuff like streak the US Open.
Oh my goodness. What?
Got a good swing.
What? Is that David Wilkinson? Are you kidding me? Oh!
So he was streaking the US Open with a pride flag, and he would also do like a 40-day fast where I think he was live streaming. He wouldn't eat for 40 days. There was another time when he went viral where he said he would be drinking from the chalice of like a man's milk. Let's just put it that way. Not the milk that comes out of the upstairs of a woman, a male's milk that comes from the downstairs. So he would say he was drinking that, and then he would go in and out. Really, this guy was just mentally ill. That's all there is to it. People are like, is he acting? Now, this guy, Connor Murphy, he would make his way out to Thailand, and he would start doing the quote-unquote looks-maxing thing, which was just turning into a bigger freak to go more viral. But he would also get involved in ladyboy activity. So this guy, Connor Murphy, would get on OF, and he would start engaging with ladyboys. Yeah, like it's crazy. And he would be talking about this openly with Tony Huge. They would make videos talking about like, we just shared this one yesterday. I thought these guys were trolling, but they're apparently not trolling. And this is an actual thing, and there's an OF for it. And I suggest you don't look for it. I didn't look for it. When I heard that there was an OF, I was like, okay, I don't even want to see these things or whatever is happening. All of these people involved are things, unfortunately. So the saddest part about all of this is that I think fame broke this guy's brain, but we need to protect FouseyTube. Because when you see this guy's going on 40-day fasts, this guy's injecting himself with a bunch of stuff. He goes on constant, huge transformations. This guy would just be manic. That's really all it was. And he was so self-confident, and he would go on rampages. I think the one thing Fusi hasn't done is like physically harmed like his girlfriend or anything. This guy, I think like he physically harmed his girlfriend. But the acts that this guy was doing is identical to what Fusi was doing, except we don't know if Fusi went through some crazy psychedelics. So probably Connor Murphy was just bipolar. We don't know what induced him into being bipolar. If he's always been bipolar, we don't really know. But this is really the amount of fitness YouTubers that have died in Thailand is insane. Like there's this guy, there's this guy called Leo Longevity that was also, he was living with Tony Huge and he died in a bathroom. And there's like a lot of conspiracy theories around that. There was this other guy, the Joe Aesthetics, that had died. That was Joe Lindler. He was some German guy. And people will try to say like, yo, Tony Huge is getting people off, or they'll try to create conspiracy theories. But the truth is, these people like drugs. They like performance-enhancing drugs. Their freak show, the performance-enhancing drugs probably raises their libido, if you want to call it that, and turns them into freaks in that sense as well. So the best place for them to get everything that they want is Thailand. And then they do all that stuff. And then someone that's constantly engaging in that type of behavior is likely to die, unfortunately. And with Connor Murphy, this news was just so unsurprising because I was just like, man, what happened to this guy? I don't know what it was that broke him, but I never thought that this guy was sane. After the first run that he had on YouTube, and the first time when he lost his mind, I was like, he's not acting. A crazy person always says that they're acting. You know who else was an actor? FusiTube. Except FusiTube was actually in a movie. This guy's never been in a movie. But it's a really hard situation when these people are being rewarded. You don't know, like, what are you going to do? Admit them to a mental institution or something like that? So there is this weird mechanism where, like, the craziest people get the most attention. So they're incentivized to keep being crazy or upping the craziness instead of getting help. And we don't know if they're acting or not. We can't tell the difference. And really, let's be honest here. Even if we can tell the difference, we're going to watch regardless. You can't help but watch. And then this happens. But it's kind of crazy to see how many people are just passing away. And they're passing away so early. And just the swimming aspect of it. Like, you have to be insane to jump into a pool. Like Tony Huge talks about it in his clip. He's like, yeah, it would make sense to try to get away. No, it doesn't make sense. Jumping into a lake? Absolutely not. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Did you know who this guy was? And what was your introduction to him? Because I know we've got like a wide range of ages. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people's first introduction was this guy with the huge like Minecraft block head from earlier this year. And some people are probably like, yeah, I've never even heard of this guy. And some people are like, yo, I remember him from his like OG content. Well, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And let's make sure that we protect FusiTube. FusiTube might be on that sauce now. We don't know. He might be taking some performance-enhancing stuff. Let's just make sure Fusi never goes to Thailand. We cannot lose Fusi. And yeah, it would break my heart to see Fusi go. So whoever's around Fusi, please protect him.